Καλησπέρα. Και αυτή θα είναι η μόνη ελληνική λέξη που θα ακούσετε προς το παρόν. Hi everybody. I'm Dimitris Mallas, and this session will be in English. I'm a journalist for CNN Greece, and I'm covering the digital technologies for a lot of years. And the last couple of years or more, I'm trying to cover a little bit 5G networks. And this will be the subject of the next panel of this Delphi Economic Forum 2020, which is on a digital format, and perhaps next year will be on a physical format, or we can say that at some point in time there will be holograms using 5G networks that can cover us all. The name of the panel that we're going to discuss is 5G, the power of networks. Some people can say that it's the most powerful of networks, but that is something that we're going to discuss in a few minutes with our distinguished panel. And the panelists, and I have to introduce them at first, and then we can go and move on with the talk, is Mr. Antonis Tzortzakakis. He is the Secretary General for Telecom and Post at the Ministry of Digital Governance here in Greece. We have also Mr. Kenneth Fredriksen, who is Executive Vice President for the Central and Eastern Europe and the Nordic region for Huawei. And also we had Sergio Solivera, who is Vice President for the Market Unit here in the Mediterranean region for Nokia. So we have someone from the man who is responsible for the 5G market here in Greece, and also we have two of the biggest vendors for 5G in the world, and we can discuss about it's something that a lot of people, at my personal opinion, have not really understand very well. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to discuss that. What I would like first is that I have each one of you tell us a little bit what's the meaning for 5G for each of you. So I will start with Antonis about that. You have 2 minutes, it's okay.
Most of the time discussed is not a linear technology change from 2G, 3G, and 4G. We are, as one could think, we expect, on the contrary, to be a variety of network advancements in the whole network infrastructure chain that coexist at the same time and give solid answers to major business needs so as to facilitate specific unprecedented requirements. For example, the key attributes of the new networks will be the extra low latency, so we'll have a few milliseconds of latency. We'll have massive sessions, so a high density session per square meter. And third, it's the high bandwidth, up to the gigabit. These are the technical capabilities that practically constitute a super powerful connectivity. And on top of this super powerful connectivity, the new technologies and new disruptions like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and big data are facilitated in order to practically to lead us to what we mean fourth industrial revolution. We know that each of these technologies are right now at the adequate maturity state so as to create the disruption on the industry models that we believe that will happen on the 5G era. That's why 5G is important and is not just a linear network technology change.
That's from you, okay. Kenneth, can you? I don't know. He covered a lot, I think, but I think you can contribute as well.
Yeah, it's always hard to be second out after this kind of comprehensive but very short introduction, I think. But of course, I mean, 5G, in short, will improve all the services we have today, which is delivered by primarily then 4G mobile services, and of course, to a certain extent, also fixed services. So you will have better bandwidth, you will have faster networks, you will have the possibility to connect more, as it was mentioned, and you will, I think, very importantly, is that 5G will also be able to utilize the spectrum, which is a very scarce resource in our industry. I would argue it's the only scarce and limited resource which we can't change. So we have to find ways of utilizing those resources in a better way. 5G is dealing with those challenges. So it's enabling us to utilize the spectrum much more efficiently, allowing more traffic to be carried within a limited spectrum, and also allowing the cost per gigabyte to go significantly down. So this is also a very important aspect. I also would like to elaborate on what was just mentioned about, 5G is just one component of the digital revolution which is ahead of us. Equally important, 5G provides the connection, which is basically the platform for the industrial revolution. Without such connectivity, you can't collect the data, you can't transmit the data, which basically then AI, which is the brain, will analyze and process in the cloud to make it a valuable service. So the cloud will be the value generator. The AI is the brain in this new world, and 5G is basically the connection point. So it's very well tightly connected, and I think that's important to understand that 5G is not the only technology that is actually going to bring us into the next stage of, as was mentioned, Industrial 4.0 and other technology revolutions.
Okay. Sergio, now it's your turn. Now you're third, I know that, but...
I'm third in the row. I hope I can share some additional insights. I couldn't, by the way, agree more with what Antonis and Fredrik have said. Definitely, 5G is not just one more G. It's going to be the technology that will allow full digitalization of almost every sector in our society and in our economy, to allow new business cases that simply today are not possible because of technological constraints. And thanks to all the technological goodies that my colleagues have explained, we will have new services that will make our life easier and our business processes more efficient. And it is in particular this efficiency which is crucial for to understand 5G. If you look at what has happened over the last decades, productivity in the industries have stalled. It's only 30% of all industries that have actually gone fully digitized, and that remaining 70% are still relying on processes that were defined very long time ago. Thanks to the new things that 5G will bring related to latency, mission-critical wireless networks, higher capacity, we can actually allow those processes to be optimized, and that's going to bring a very significant productivity increase. Just to show some numbers, there are some studies at European level that consider the impact of 5G in Europe by 2025 to be more than 100 billion. And that comes out automatically with the creation of 2 million new jobs. So to finish, let me pick again the slogan from Antonis. 5G is the technology that will allow that fourth industrial revolution with a significant productivity increase.
What is interesting, Sergio, I will stick with you a little bit, is that you said that 5G is not another G, first. And secondly, none of you three mentioned higher speeds. Okay, so if I understand correctly, and that's something that we have to, I think that's important to pass it to our audience, is that 5G is not just about speeds, right? It's not, doesn't give just high speeds, right?
I mean, higher capacity is definitely one of the aspects of 5G, but it is not enough. If we want to define 5G, for me, 5G should bring what we call the ultra. And for sure, it is ultra broadband with speeds minimum of 1 gigabit per second for high quality video streaming. But also the ultra narrowband, you need to connect hundreds of millions of sensors that should be controlled remotely with artificial intelligence. The ultra latency, you really need real-time applications. If you're talking about autonomous driving, for instance, you need the car to stop, or a production line in a factory to stop in real time once you detect a problem. And last but not least, also ultra resiliency. You need the 5G to be robust and secure. On these technological enablers, you're going to have as well two other aspects. One is network slicing. You need to be able to provide specific network capabilities to support those services. So if you are driving a car, you may want the specific services of the car to have a very limited latency for autonomous driving. However, for the passenger on the rear seat, you just want high bandwidth. and you could serve those with different slices.
Okay, I understand that. Kenneth, I don't know if you want to add something to that, because I just wanted to know, to make sure that we had made the definition of 5G a little bit better understood to the people. But then I would like to ask, I don't know if you have anything to add first.
No,
Then I would
so
like
I
to ask
think,
something.
well, I think Sergio pointed out a very important feature of 5G, which is the slicing capabilities, which is, allowing us for the first time to guarantee a quality of service for a specific service. That's not possible in today's 4G world, and hence we are not able to provide the very advanced services which 5G will allow us. So network slicing is really a key differentiator, which will allow 5G to go into very many different verticals and provide extreme advanced services.
Okay. Now, Kenneth, I'm a journalist, so I really have to make that question, and I'm sure that a lot of our audience are really interested in that Huawei has been has been targeted by the U.S. government. There's sanctions against you regarding especially 5G. And I would really like to hear about what's your position about that subject and about the security subject as well.
Yeah, well, sometimes I tend to joke about this. When you're the best guy in the class, sometimes you are pointed out to be the worst guy in the class. But jokes aside, I mean, obviously, everyone, as you pointed out, has noticed that the Americans have somehow launched a campaign against our company, which has been focused around concerns about security. I think nowadays, I think most people understand that this is not really about security. I mean, there has not been a single evidence provided on the table to back up those claims. It is really about the technology race. And obviously, the US, they have been on the top of the value chain and best in technology for decades. Now they see that we as a company are coming up and perhaps threatening this position. And obviously, maintaining a leading position in technology is maybe the most important control point for being on top of the value chains. So I think this is really what this is about. And I mean, the only good thing which this campaign has brought, I think, is the focus on security, because that is extremely important, especially when we move into 5G. Security needs to be on the highest part of the agenda. And here, I think, the unfortunate part of this is that politics should not drive how you build robust and strong secure networks. I think Sir Rob was pointing out more about the security just now. You need to have a technical approach if you want to solve security. And I think that is, fortunately, the way most European countries are now approaching this topic.
Okay. Sergio, you want to add something about security? Because I believe that it's really an important subject, but...
Absolutely. I think security is critical, and in particular, security linked to 5G. We have discussed before, 5G is not, I mean, it is an end-to-end network, and it's going to reshape the way we do business, the way we live our lives. So security is number one topic. So far, we've been using telecommunication networks to do different things. In 5G, we are going to be running all our lives and industries on networks. And as such, every single process has to be very conscious of security. We strongly believe that there has to be a common approach at the European Union level. The risk assessment study of last year, together with the toolbox providing a specific recommendations, is definitely a first good step towards having that common European approach. I mean, we Nokia, we're extremely committed to that. Security is non-negotiable, and we are building in security in our design for security process in every single step of the life cycle. So absolutely, security is mandatory in 5G.
Okay, thanks. Antonis, going back to you now. So we covered what is 5G. Let's talk about 5G in Greece. Can you give us a view of what's going on, when we're going to see 5G networks in the Greek market?
In Greece, unfortunately, I think that everyone agrees that we have almost lost first, second, and third industrial revolution. So I don't think that we will be in the position to lose the fourth one. And as we correctly pointed out by our colleagues, 5G is a key pillar of this fourth industrial revolution. So the state, the administration, has a clear priority for 5G infrastructure. Therefore, we are moving forward full speed with the actual deadlines that we have for this year, meaning that we are going to have the tender, a multi-band tender end of the year for all the relevant 5G bands, namely 700, 3.5 gigahertz, 700 megahertz, 3.5 gigahertz, and 26 gigahertz. And we are going also to have the renewal of 2.1 gigahertz that is used right now for 4G. So there was already a public consultation on that from the NRA. We are moving rapidly towards the digital dividend too in Greece, which means the 700 megahertz move of the band from the broadcasters to 5G. So we have a set of actions towards the multi-band tender till end of the year. I think it's a crucial moment for our telecommunication framework, because the speed of the rollout and the creation of the relevant ecosystem of the 5G will be crucial on the disruption of the services and of the industry and of services in the Greek economy. We consider that 5G will be an economy multiplier for us, and it will be an investment attraction vehicle for the full economy. Therefore, it's something that is absolutely considered as a priority for the country.
Antonis, staying on that subject, and just to clarify that a little bit, will it be safe to say that by this time next year there will be some 5G networks working in Greece? And if you can elaborate a little bit more about what you were saying about that, you say that it's important for 5G for the Greek market, for the Greek economy. If you can elaborate a little bit, that there's a lot of people saying that we're left behind, we're a little bit behind on 5G implementation, and also what are your plans as a ministry for getting these things, these actions, I don't know, the projects that will help, will take 5G and help the Greek economy?
As I said, the tender will take place end of the year. Therefore, I think first rollout will be inside the Q1, Q2 of 2021, especially on the 3.5 gigahertz. So I think that for sure we will have 5G networks deployed next year, Q2 next year. Also, I have to inform you that we were one of the very few, or even the only country that didn't delay the tenders on 5G. Meaning, we know that there were a number of countries that, due to the coronavirus crisis, had delayed their tenders, namely France, Spain, Portugal. We were the ones that we sent an official letter to European Commission that we will not delay, and we are moving straight ahead to the tender in order to catch up on time for the 5G readiness and 5G deployment. That's why we are spending all of our efforts in order to catch up the time with other European countries that they have already auctioned spectrum.
Okay, fine. Okay, we'll come back to something else. I would like now to go to Sergio and then Kenneth and ask you, there's a lot of fuss about 5G, okay? Everybody's talking about that. And what I would really like to ask first, Sergio, is that if you can give us some examples, some case studies of how you can use 5G technology in order to provide some innovative services. Kenneth, your turn is afterwards, okay?
This time I go first. Thanks, Dimitris. No, absolutely. There are a number of sectors linked to that Industry 4.0 revolution that are getting more traction when you're talking about 5G. And it is all about providing a mission-critical wireless network in those areas where in the past you couldn't. For instance, we are having, if you look at maritime, and this is also very relevant for Greece, you see millions of containers together with tens of thousands of trucks and millions of sensors that will have to be controlled and in an automated way. You need another type of connectivity. We have examples like the Port of Hamburg, the Port of Antwerp, where we are already piloting those type of technologies. We discuss e-health. At the end, you could have the concept of a super ambulance where you need to send computed tomography or X-rays in real time with high quality video to the emergency center. We discuss also automotive, where we are having different proof of concepts and pilots with companies like BMW to test different network slices supporting specific services in the car, one controlling the key elements, security elements, another one controlling the infotainment part, etc. And I could also mention more manufacturing with the remote control of the production line, enforcing security, some drones controlling a power line in an automated way. At the end, those areas where in the past you couldn't reach with a mission-critical, low latency, high capacity network, now it will be possible with 5G.
Okay, Kenneth, what else? Can you give us also some examples?
I think the recent COVID-19 crisis has demonstrated the importance. Just to link this to the topic you addressed with Antonis, the importance of having a solid infrastructure in place. If we look at what happened in China, we helped hospitals to get 5G coverage rapidly when they were building the new hospitals, so that they could actually replace humans with robots inside the hospital to take over tasks that didn't require people, both to release resources which then could be used for other critical functions, but also to reduce risk because you replace the robots with people to avoid infection and so on. That's one thing. We also had the 4K video transmitters installed on the ambulances to allow what Sergio was actually talking about as a future scenario. We did that already now in China, where we had 4K video streaming from the ambulance to the experts, to the medical centers, so that they could actually start treating the patients while they were on their way to the hospital. In South Korea and in also in China now on the consumer segments, we are also seeing cloud computing or cloud gaming, rapidly increasing business, because the low latency is allowing the computing to take place in the cloud now for gaming industry. And that also not only opens up another segment for the gaming industry, but it also allows the operators to start charging on latency basis. So there has been already models where operators are monetizing the latency. So if you have the lowest latency line in a game, you will win. And that is possible to monetize from the operator side. In Norway, we have been doing fish farm monitoring by using 5G connections, having high resolution video inside the water, which is allowing then both more efficient feeding, but also disease detection in real time. So basically reducing cost, improving efficiency, and the productivity.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, getting to the last part, and I would like to ask Antonis, hearing that case studies, I don't know, which are the opportunities from 5G for Greece, for the Greek economy, for the Greek society? Where are the opportunities?
The main opportunity for Greece, as I said earlier, is and it's really important to clarify that, is the creation of the relevant ecosystem. It's important to understand that connectivity by itself doesn't mean anything. You need the services on top of the connectivity. You need all these new companies, the small, medium enterprises, that they will act as a disruption catalysts in order to facilitate the transposition of the economy as we know it right now to the new phase. So it's extremely important that we develop this ecosystem of services on top of 5G in order to facilitate this growth. It's important, and we have a clear opportunity because these services and this ecosystem does not exist. So no heritage is necessary to be the capex investments, not for the network but for the services of new innovative companies, are not forbidding. The small medium model is suitable, so it's very close to the Greek ecosystem, and also there are the barriers to entry in this market were never lower. So, and the infrastructure will be there, which is the 5G. So these insights together create a clear opportunity for Greece to create the ecosystem, the relevant ecosystem for the services in order to boost the productivity and growth. And this has nothing to do with previous developed models with the third industrial revolution or whatever. The race is starting now from the beginning, and that's why we believe that this can be a disruption catalyst and an economy multiplier for an economy like Greece. And allow me to say that in the recent COVID-19 crisis, the Greek state revealed and demonstrated rapid decision-making, rational decision-making, decisiveness, leadership, execution capability. In weeks, we had a chance of digitalization that was long overdue in the country. While we had innovation under pressure, which was also clearly evident and appreciated. So it seems that despite the fact that this is small, evident, it's an indicative example that countries' digitalization, it's not just a vision, it's not an abstract vision, it's a tangible target, and I think we have the determination and we will have the tools to proceed with that and to have the growth in the economy and attract investments.
Can you hear me? That's a problem. Okay, coming back to, can you hear me, everybody? I don't know. I think I
can't hear you now.
Yes,
no, me too.
Okay, if you can hear me, then I would like to ask also Kenneth and Sergio to add a little bit about what are the opportunities for Greece. If you can tell us a little bit of your insight, for example. Kenneth, let's start with you and we'll finish with Sergio.
Okay, so I think, like Greece, for all other countries, without connectivity in place, which is the fundamental step you need to have in order to create the valuable services which we are talking about, you can't achieve nothing. Unfortunately, Europe is somehow a little bit behind at the moment, because what we have seen in the early adapters of 5G is that when you put new technology in the hands of people and companies, innovation happens. And I think that's extremely important. I totally agree with Antonis when it comes to the ecosystem construction. That's the key. That's how, because mobile operators will not create everything. We need to have ecosystems in place to create valuable services. It starts with making the technology available. Sometimes we might need to gamble on this one because the obvious business case might not be realized before we actually have the technology in our hands. I'm sure that Greece has a huge potential in many areas. I mean, from tourism, from maritime, from shipping, to utilize the new technology. So it's all about speeding up now, making the infrastructure ready so that the innovation can start to happen. That's how we will get the 5G ecosystem to develop. So I think that is really the important thing. And honestly speaking, I think there is an early move advantage in many of the verticals. If we see what has happened in the OTT world, the first movers, they have taken the market. I believe we might see similar things happen in some of the verticals which will be disrupted by 5G technology. The early adapters might be able to create, because of the globalization, to create such a strong foothold inside that industry that it might be hard to catch up if you're too late into the game. So time is of essence, I think.
Okay, Sergio, you're last, but I think you have something also to add that you're doing here in Greece as a company regarding 5G, right?
Absolutely. I can only endorse what my colleagues have said. I mean, openness is definitely a key aspect to make 5G successful. I mean, it is an ecosystem we need to create. As such, I mean, Nokia truly believes in this openness. We have joined recently the Open RAN policy coalition. We really believe in that. We have created with Bell Labs a live demo, a live lab on slicing, where we are inviting operators and different stakeholders in the different verticals to create and prototype those services. And linked to your question, there is actually 5G happening in Greece, in Nokia. I mean, Nokia end-to-end 5G solution is developed out of Greece. I mean, we are one of the top 100 companies in Greece with an R&D center, which is probably one of the largest in the country, with close to 1,000 R&D people coming from Greek universities, focused on Evolved Packet Core and the 5G standalone core, which is going to be a crucial element. So whenever Greece decides to go for 5G, I mean, Nokia is ready to help them with Greek people.
Okay. Thanks very much, everybody. Antonis, Kenneth, and Sergio. That I think it was an interesting discussion. Thanks, everybody that listened to us or see us. I don't know. And stay safe and stay online as well, because there are some panels that are very interesting and they're coming up. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.